and welcome to the local campaign, helping voters make an informed choice in the upcoming municipal election. I'm Kim Wilson and I'll be your host tonight. Tonight we have the Cambridge mayoral debate. There are 5 candidates in this race. They are incumbent Doug Craig, Catherine McGarry, Colin Tucker, Randy Carter, and Ben Tucci. Speaking order was drawn before the debate, so with their opening remarks, here is Randy Carter.
Hi, my name is Randy Carter. I'm running for the working people, the men and women of Cambridge. There's a lot of things that I disagree in Cambridge, like the safe needle injection sites. I strongly disagree with that. I think that we should be helping the homeless people instead of getting them needles. I'm actually got a wife, 4 kids. I work really hard in the community. I jack of all trades, and I meet a lot of people on the way. I make friends with everybody I meet, and another thing is in Cambridge that I would like to see is better transportation. I'd like to have a train going to Toronto and back instead of having the rail going to Kitchener and back. I would rather have going to Toronto and back because I've talked to a lot of people in Cambridge who would rather have a rail going to Toronto and back. I talked to a lot of people in Cambridge. That's where I get all my ideas from, and every one of them in Cambridge, they all want like the light rail for sure. And I think we should have more police service in downtown Cambridge because the homeless people is getting overpopulated. And the problem with that is like there's a lot of stuff people getting bikes stolen and stuff like that. And another thing is they're panhandling on the streets and almost getting hit by cars. I witnessed it a lot. Almost getting hit by a car running and trying to get their money from people who donate their money to them. I find that Cambridge is a growing town. The problem with Cambridge is there's not enough
Randy,
workers.
We'll have to stop you here. That's all your time.
Okay.
We'll move on.
Okay.
Thanks.
That was quick.
Yep, you're up, Doug.
Okay. I'm Doug Craig, and I'm running to be re-elected as your mayor on October the 22nd. Cambridge is a wonderful city. It's a great city that has a lot of development, a lot of great things happening. Things like the Gaslight District coming into the city, things like the digital library and the Dunfield Theatre, and the $1.4 billion investment that went into Toyota to help sustain jobs and offer up more jobs in the community. But on top of all of that, the unemployment rate in Cambridge is the lowest in 18 years. But in spite of all of that, what we have is this undercurrent all the time of what's happening across Ontario with opiates, with homelessness on the streets, with panhandling. And these are the things we're confronting, and these are the things that I want to deal with as mayor when we get back into the fall election process after the fall election. I want to put in place the Safe City agenda. Number 1, more police in the downtown. More police in our neighborhoods, taking care of traffic issues in our neighborhoods, speeding in particular, and having a greater presence. I'm going to keep the bylaw, the interim control bylaw that bans safe injection sites. I'm going to help the Bridges move from its present position where it is to build a better facility and to move, in fact, a place where we can accommodate and support homelessness in this community, the people that need our help. I'm going to help in terms of employing more outreach workers that will help people in terms of bringing them back into better accommodations in the city. We need supportive housing within the community, and we need it as soon as we possibly can. And that's what I'll be doing with the Safe Agenda site, and I'll be helping everybody as much as possible to move in that direction. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Now we'll move on to Ben.
Yeah, hi, my name is Ben Tucci. I'm thrilled that with the support of my family, many Cambridge residents, I'm in the race, a dream 20 years in the making. If elected, I will be retiring from a successful 40-year career in finance to focus 100% of my time and effort on lowering the tax burden, stabilizing our city, and elevating the profile of our city. My campaign is about representing you as we work to stabilize the city, dealing with the substance abuse and homeless issues, to address the lack of affordable housing, and to move the city forward. While I would never say my skills are better than the skills of the others, they are in fact quite different. And the skills required at this time in the history of our city. In my view, the time has come for a person with my skill sets in finance to lead a team to deliver a safe and more affordable community. I've owned the required financial negotiating consensus building skills over 40 years in business, 17 years as a Cambridge City Councillor, board roles in the Chamber of Commerce in Cambridge, board role in the Chamber of Commerce of Ontario, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and my extensive volunteer board work and campaign work with United Way. I believe all of that has prepared me to be mayor. I want to lead a city that's proactive in addressing issues far in advance of when they occur, and that is always open to the public, knowing that reactive actions are always more expensive and less effective as being proactive. The substance abuse and growing homeless situation in Cambridge are but two examples of situations that are festering as a result. I want to lead a city that is inclusive and balances the needs of the community without losing sight of the fiscal bottom line. I believe strongly in the triple bottom line, that is care for your environment, care for your social fabric of your community, and the affordability factor. I want to lead a city that is a leader and a strong contributor to the existing two-tier system of government, but with a renewed sense of partnership, enhancing the profile and statute that the city deserves. While I may not, have all the answers, my heart is in the right place.
We're going to have to stop you here,
I have
Ben.
the ability to see the future risks and opportunities. Thank you.
Moving on to Catherine. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Catherine Nagari. Cambridge is a beautiful city with a bright and promising future, but it's the people that make our community great, dedicated, passionate and caring citizens. And like you, I care deeply about my community and our collective future. That's why my husband and I moved our family to Cambridge 30 years ago to raise our family. Our youngest son is following his older siblings and is now at grade 10 in Southwood School. As someone who has worked as a nurse, continuously volunteered, and who has proudly served this community, I've been getting things done for Cambridge for almost 30 years as a founding member of hospice, heritage preservation, crime prevention, and I arranged a critical meeting that secured the funding for the expansion of our hospital. I will continue to champion investments in our nuclear, auto, and other industries that secure important local jobs. But over the last year, hundreds of people have told me they want to change at City Hall and have urged me to continue to serve this community as mayor. They feel they're not being listened to and that their hard-earned tax dollars are not being spent on their priorities. They want decisions that show more fiscal responsibility, more transparency and accountability, not sometimes a dismissive response from their mayor. But the future of Cambridge does not rest with the mayor alone, but in the mayor's ability to make decisions for us with City Council, to work in collaboration together with Regional Council, focused on the shared priority of a healthy, safe, connected, prosperous Cambridge. As your mayor, I will be that change. I will bring fresh, positive leadership to City Hall. I will listen to you, be responsive, and take action that reflects your priorities. Our vision for Cambridge will be achieved by working together to solve the challenges in front of us and by capitalizing on our community's enormous potential. It's a privilege to serve the public, and I'm as excited to run for you as mayor.
Thanks, Catherine. On to Colin.
Hello, my name is Colin Tucker. I'm not a career politician. I'm not running for mayor because I need a job. I'm running for mayor because this is my home. This is where I live. I'm here because I believe I have the leadership skills needed to take this city to a better level. I know this is a critical time for our city. Everyone who lives here knows that. And I fear that if we don't start making better choices right away, the city we call home will turn into a hot spot of crime. Yes, there is some prosperity, but we can do better. We have a beautiful new old post office library that people are afraid to walk by because they're shouting on the streets and people are being stopped by other people begging for drug money. This is a fact, and it shouldn't be that way. And we need to focus on Galt, but this city is more than Galt. We owe it to the people of Blair, Hespeler, and Preston to make sure their areas are being taken care of and properly planned. We need rules around where to build, and even more important, what to build. We need to take advantage of our waterways and downtown cores to increase tourism, which Cambridge should be booming with. We need to change what other people think of Cambridge. And to do that, we need to clean up our downtown cores, pathways, and parks all as to start. As a successful business owner, I've always believed local government should consist of the residents, not career politicians. I can honestly say to the people here, a vote for me is a vote for you. Thanks.
Thanks, Colin. So to start the question and answer portion of our debate, we now go to the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce President, Doug DeRocher.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to congratulate you for putting your name forward. It's not an easy thing to put your name forward to run for public office, and I want to congratulate you on doing that. And then thank you for taking the time out of a busy campaign period to come here and help shed some light on your candidacy to the citizens of our community to help them make a better choice. I want to start off with what I think is a very simple question. Do you think our core areas are healthy and successful? If not, what would you do to change it?
We're going to start with Doug Craig for the answer.
Well, I would say very clearly that they're successful in terms of the number of businesses this year alone. We've had 32 new businesses come into the Cambridge area, and we've had new revitalization in the Galt core with the digital post digital post office, with the Gaslight coming in, with the Dunfield Theatre, pedestrian bridge, and Hespeler. You have all the new streetscaping. You have the Scott Higgins development on the river that's taking place. And in Preston, we've just spent with the region $70 million of road work and infrastructure to in fact reinforce that community with the very basic needs that it needs. So all of these things are contributing to a community that is economically healthy. Like I said, we have the lowest unemployment in 18 years. And our business community is doing very well in a number of areas. Retail is changing. Things are happening. There are empty stores here and there, but you just have to look at the rebirth of the Cambridge Center as an example of rebirth that's taking place. Rafty Jewelers that has come in, which is a very high-end jewelry shop in Cambridge and within, I think, even in Canada to that extent. So things are happening in a very positive way.
Thanks, Doug. Ben?
So to echo the comments, the core areas are more successful than they perhaps have been in a few years. But when I look around the core areas, there's a lot of work still needs to be done. I think what we've lost in the community is the engagement of the private sector. The work with the private sector. It's the private sector that actually creates the jobs, and give them the opportunity and the platform by which they get involved. We have to strengthen our bylaws that allow building owners to carry buildings empty for tax advantage. So we have to firm up our bylaw. We've got to firm up the bylaw that forces people to at least repair, upgrade their buildings while they sit empty. So there is opportunity to improve. Cambridge is a great place to do business. But as I said, there's areas that we could focus on to bring more people downtown. At the same time, not lose sight of the fact that as we attempt to develop our core areas, we have a serious issue with substance abuse and homeless issues that we need to counteract and work with those people to you have to make the downtowns. You can fill the shops, but if people are not feeling safe about going downtown, they won't go downtown to shop. So I think it's a balancing act. Government has a role, but the private sector has to be the leader in that role, and we have to get out of the way. We have to cut the red tape that allows the private sector to step up and do their job.
Thanks, Ben. Catherine?
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate our 3 downtown cores and the work that the BIA does to try and boost this area. You know, as a longtime member of Heritage Cambridge, I recognized early on in the early 1990s we needed more to preserve our heritage, because when people visit the core, they are there to see the heritage buildings and not the strip malls. And you can see that with the increased investment that we've had in our city from the movie and TV series filming that goes on in our downtown core. But in saying that, there is certainly a lot more opportunity. Number one, I would make sure that we continue to work with BIAs to look at new opportunities, not only retail, but more people living in the apartments above the stores and more traffic that way. Cambridge has been blessed with a river running through it. I would make sure that some of the tourism opportunities that we have are certainly looked at. Cycling is one of those things. Not only do we live along a wonderful heritage river, we have world-class cycling trails. I would make sure that we would have a plan moving forward to really focus on cycling tourism in the downtown core. That would mean adding cycling parking structures. It would mean working with our tourism operators to ensure that when people get off our world-class trails, they have a soft bed and a hot meal to look forward to and a safe place to park the bike. But in looking at those kinds of opportunities, certainly I would make sure that some of the absentee landlords are there to make sure that their buildings are cleaned up, that we have more opportunities for new businesses to work in the downtown core. In the downtown Galt area in particular right now, we do have an influx of homeless and people that are making their way in and out of the stores that people are frightened of. So once we clean that up, it will be certainly a safer and more beautiful
Thanks,
city
Catherine.
for
We're
us
gonna
to
have to
visit
end
downtown
here.
cores.
Thanks.
Yeah, I tend to disagree. I think I lived in Hesper for 18 years, Galt for 2 years now. And in Hesper, when I was in Hesper, it was okay. It wasn't that great. And Galt was actually a place to be. It's actually flipped over the last 5 or 6 years. I think that definitely the drug issue, homeless issue is creating a lot of problems downtown Galt, number one. Preston hasn't changed at all the last 10, 15 years. It needs attention really bad. I think owners need to lower their rental rates to bring in new businesses. But first we have to clean up the downtown cores first and foremost to do that. I think we should take advantage of all our waterways for sure, because we're the only city who has 3 waterways, one in each downtown core, and we have nothing really going on in those waterways. We have beautiful parks, beautiful walkways, a lot of attractions bringing tourism. I see Cambridge as being a destination in the future for like pub crawls, restaurants, shopping. That's why I believe should happen for our downtown cores. They're not where they should be right now. I don't care how much money you spend on a downtown core. The way that Galt is now, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. It's going to not flourish the way it is right now with homeless people seriously like walking around town, holding up signs, panhandling. That's just the cold hard truth. It has to change first and foremost. Thanks.
Thanks, Colin. And now Randy.
I think downtown Cambridge is pretty nice downtown, all the old buildings and all that stuff. But I still think that there's room for more change downtown. I think that the homeless people, yes, for sure. We got to try to get. I think we should try to get the homeless people straightened away first before we start putting more stuff downtown. Before we start spending more and more money on buildings downtown. I think we should help the homeless people. If we got them, put them into different places and get rid of the needle injection sites downtown that wants to come in downtown. And I think that we should clean the waterways up downtown, the Grand River especially. And we should have something rigged up for the flooding downtown, because what happened last year with the ice dams and stuff, they had to block the roads and stuff off like that. I think that should also in Preston, the dam in Preston, I think that we should, like the downtown in Preston, the dam should be refixed, because Preston, they don't have much there right now, only a few buildings and stuff in downtown. I think that we should put a brand new dam in and clean the waterways out there, because that's Preston. Preston won't be without Riverside. It need that. And Hesper, yes, it's growing. They got the big, huge high-rise building there, but it don't really do anything for Hesper. I think that's where we should get a train in Hesper, at the Lynn's Mill store in Hesper, and we should have a train station there, with a donut shop, whatever, for people who are leaving in the morning to take off to Toronto. And I think there's lots of parking there. I think we should redevelop downtown Hesper and put a train station in there. And yes, we should definitely help the homeless first before we start anywhere. That's it.
Thanks. Next question?
Yes, our favorite comment, the Chamber of Commerce always likes to qualify this with politicians. You do realize that virtually every dollar government has to spend comes from an individual or corporation who is earning money to either buy a government service or is taxed on their income. Understanding that is important because it really means before there is any government revenue, a business transaction must take place. We see that what happens to communities where unemployment rate is high and businesses have obviously lost confidence or the talent pool isn't there. You also understand that most of our charitable organizations in the community rely more on private and corporate donations than anything else. So prosperity is vital for a community to have the resources to invest and make our city a better place. And so the good works of our charities and not-for-profits have the means to continue to deliver their valuable service. As mayor, what will you do in the next 4 years to make Cambridge an even more prosperous place? And is economic development a top priority for you?
And we're going to start the answers with Ben.
Well, thank you for the question, and it's along the lines of the finance piece in my platform. And my platform will be released later this week, and it includes 10 recommendations on the finance side that's going to lead to increased revenue, lower the expenses, and basically make it an affordable city. So the 10 recommendations deal with the councillors. It's the Cambridge Tax Support Group that's out there talking about ensuring that councillors and mayor, for that matter, understands the fiscal realities and how to read a financial statement, budgets. I think those are good ideas. Revised budget direction to staff, ensuring that the direction to staff is a inflation rate increase plus a percentage on capital investment, and having them come back, and then council makes the tough decisions as to where they need to focus on. Recommendation of the line-by-line review of the operating budget and the capital budget. At the end of the day, there's a complete review of the capital assets owned by the city. The city is holding $1 billion in assets. Even with depreciation, it still leaves you about $600 million in assets. And I'd like to understand whether those assets are needed in the short, medium term, long term, and if there is excess assets that we can look at and perhaps cash in, sell, turn into cash to use for tax relief and move your capital infrastructure deficit up and do some of those projects. At the end of the day, a 4.52% tax increase when the rate of inflation is 2% is not sustainable in our community. And as I said, there's 10 recommendations in the platform coming out this week as to how we're going to address that, make it a more affordable community. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Catherine.
Thank you. Our city has a great opportunity to grow, and as a mayor, that person has a key role in creating economic opportunities in Cambridge. I want to continue work with local businesses, the Chamber of Commerce, government, the Regional Economic Development Corporation to attract and establish leading companies in our community. When I was representing this region at a provincial level, I made sure that the Southwestern Ontario Development Fund that the provincial government has money for was certainly spending their money here. I was able to bring about $200 million worth of government investment into our Cambridge businesses to expand, retain, and also create hundreds of jobs. We can attract and develop top-tier talent right here in Cambridge so they can join the organizations that we already have. We have Toyota, ATS, BWXT, and many more. We have a center of excellence in the nuclear supply chain right here in Cambridge that we can continue to support and make sure that we can continue some of the job creation for the refurbishment of Bruce Power in Darlington, to be specific. But it also means getting out and selling and promoting Cambridge. Cambridge has so many things to offer prospective businesses. For example, we've also got a very strong auto sector and an growing advanced manufacturing sector. We need a mayor who will go out and sell and actively promote Cambridge to Ontario, to Canada, and to international markets and bring new investment and opportunities here. Ontario is one of the top 3 areas for direct foreign investment, and we can continue to sell what we have here in Cambridge. It's not just about the businesses here either, it's about the lifestyle. We have wonderful amenities in Cambridge to attract new families and businesses who want to grow here. World-class cycling trails, a good, vibrant arts, culture, and sports scene that help new families and businesses to be attracted here. It takes everybody working together and Waterloo Region economic development to make sure we have new businesses settling here. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. Colin.
Yeah, I'd like to do look closely at the city budget, go from there as a starting point where you can save money and put some of the money back into starting off and helping out small business. I think small business in Cambridge is where a good starting point for the city to grow, because when those businesses grow, they get bigger and expand, and then we hire people and create jobs. And that's why I think a good base for good economical Cambridge would be. And that's all I have to say about that.
For Cambridge, I would try to lower the taxes for Cambridge. I would try to produce more low-income housing, because there's not enough housing around right now for people to live. Not much sense of having people come to Cambridge if there's no more housing. All the housing that was built in Cambridge, they were even taken over by people that live in Toronto. So the people in Cambridge don't get the opportunity to take the houses. I would definitely try to lower the hydro, because it's really high in price. Definitely try to lower the water. I would try to improve the city, like more and more people when they come in. I try to improve the new homes. And also would like to fix all the rivers, and I would like to have recreation centers for the younger kids that come in, because there's nothing for them to do during the summer months, like say water slides or something in some parks that we can charge people and go in, so the city can actually make money. There's so many things I could do in Cambridge that I can't say. But definitely would like to look at what all the money is going on, especially why the roads are not being fixed up. For sure, I definitely have to check that out. And yes, I would like to find some money for for people who are starting their business and can't get off the ground. Find some money for them to help them get off the ground. And that's it.
Well, during my term, the Economic Development Corporation for the region of Waterloo was developed, and I work in partnership with the mayors of Kitchener and Waterloo in particular, and with the business community, also with the Chamber of Commerce locally. And we have a very intimate relationship in terms of the exchange of information and the needs of the community in terms of economic development. So what have we done? We have traveled worldwide. I went to Japan 4 years ago and was in on the initial discussions that ended up with the $1.4 billion investment in Toyota. That was the start of those meetings. We went to Germany to talk to companies there, like Remova, which has brought 500 jobs to Cambridge. These are the things on the international scale we've done. Gone to California with John Tory and the other two mayors, Verbanovic and Jaworski, in terms of dealing with the influx and loss of tech individuals that we need to bring back to Canada. We've been to Boston and New Jersey. I've been to Geneva to talk about the economic development of a digital library and what its impact is on a community. We've done all of these things, and we're seeing that investment coming back into the community. Our competition is not internal within the region of Waterloo. Our competition is outside, everybody outside. And so we work together very strongly as a region to in fact bring jobs in. Because if a factory comes into Waterloo, everybody in this region has the opportunity of having jobs there. It benefits everybody. So that's been our attitude since day one. The new Innovation Center down on Concession next to Gaslight is an example of how we've moved our Economic Development Department out of City Hall and we put it where the entrepreneurs are and where in fact the business community is developing new business. These are the things we've been doing, and these are the things we're going to continue to do. And taxes is another issue, and that really comes back down to the whole relevance of the fact that we do not, in the city of Cambridge or in the province, have a fair share of revenue from the federal and provincial taxes.
Thanks, Doug.
Well, you've all asked for it. I think most of you have talked about taxes. So let's talk a little bit about property taxes in the city of Cambridge. Are they too high? Are they increasing at unreasonable rates? And if so, how would you address this? How would you, or would you support a limit on council's ability to increase it to the rate of inflation?
And we'll start with Catherine.
Thank you very much. And this is something that I've been hearing an awful lot about in the last while, especially as I've been going door to door. One of the most common things people say to me when I'm knocking on doors or out at events, they don't feel that their tax dollars are being well spent. People want a mayor who's not going to waste their hard-earned money, and that's me. I've sat down with community groups like Cambridge Taxpayers Support Group who believe our city finances can be managed in a better way. I would agree with them that more training is needed for city councillors as they're coming into the role to make sure that our budget process is accountable and transparent. But as a former cabinet minister, I was responsible for managing an organization with an $835 million budget. We met our budget reduction targets each and every year by trimming fat, streamlining programs, and going line by line to make sure that everybody was efficient with their dollar. And that's what should be done here at City Hall. We need to make sure that the money we don't have, or that we do have, goes to the projects that people feel are the priorities, not just what they're calling legacy projects. We need a Main Street solution, not a Bay Street solution, to make one that makes sense in Cambridge and focuses on our priorities and our projects. Projects like new affordable housing units, better services, and the repair of vital wastewater infrastructure. And in saying all that, property taxes are a main source of revenue here in Cambridge. I know that with the change in provincial government recently, some municipalities are feeling uncertain as some programs are looking like having less money in them. There's uncertainty as to which will continue to be funded. My plan is at the next budget cycle as mayor, I would make sure that our tax or our budget for the next few years readjusts if needed to accommodate the difference in what the provincial government may or may be not funding us in the future.
Thanks, Catherine. On to Colin.
Yes, I also agree our taxes are too high. I've heard from many people as Cambridge as well. They're all saying the exact same thing. Our tax dollars are being spent on things that shouldn't be spent on. Like we need more important things like affordable housing, our roads, even the small things like our garbage pickup, which was cut down to twice a month. Which I think it should be weekly in June, July, and August due to smell and attraction of rodents and flies. I heard a lot of people talk about that actually. I just think, yeah, they have to be lowered for sure because people aren't satisfied with what it's being spent on. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Colin. Randy.
Yes, people have been telling me that the taxes are really high in Cambridge. It keeps going up and up every year. And people can't afford it. It's too much. Their homes, they're trying to pay tax on their homes. It's way too much. Taxes. What else would I say? That's it.
Thanks, Randy. Doug.
Well, taxes is always an issue at every election, and I do agree with a number of people that there's always a concern around taxes. But if you look through what's happening in Canada and you look through in terms of the revenue sources that Cambridge has, like all cities, we only have property tax and user fees. We get 9 cents out of every dollar of tax collected in Canada. Federal and provincial governments get 91 cents. We have the most infrastructure deficits on the municipalities across Ontario. We have 140 million in Cambridge alone, and that's comparable to all the other cities. So if we ignore that and we give people on a consistent basis consumer price index increases, then this city is going to start falling apart. So we need to be honest with people. And there hasn't been a lot of honesty in terms of dealing with the issues of the province not properly funding municipalities. And that goes way back over the years. So we have to do that to make sure that that does happen. I'm going to present later in this term that we're dealing with a program to in fact flatline taxes and to pay for the deficits of the infrastructure. And we can do that. But right now, when you look at what's happening in terms of the tax issues in Cambridge, we are in fact just the same as every other municipality. We're more honest about it because our taxpayers don't have a stormwater fee every month like Kitchener and Waterloo. We include it all within the general budget. And so you have to make these comparisons on a proper basis. So we will lower the taxes over a period of years, but it's got to come through a new renegotiation with the federal and provincial governments for more revenue, not to simply keep squeezing local taxpayers here in terms of what they can't afford to pay.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, so what I hesitate to do is blame other parties, other levels of government for the situation we're in. Certainly we could use additional assistance, whether it's gas tax revenues or other forms of revenue to help out. But at the end of the day, when you consider the tax increase in 2018 was 4.52%, and on an operating budget of $124 million, the consumer price index averaged 130%. The rate of inflation for the same period of time was averaged only 1.6%. It's unsustainable to look at your taxpayers and demand 2.5 times what the rate of inflation is going. There's something wrong. There's something broken in the system. And I can tell you, when you look at the financial statement, and I don't know whether mayor and council have an opportunity to look at it and understand it, but just examples where you're holding $76 million in liquidity, cash or cash equivalents, and you're generating less than 1.5% rate of return on that money. Something's wrong with the pool that you're invested in. And one of the things I'm going to recommend is when we look at that is recommend a request for proposal. Let's see what others are doing in other pools in terms of rate of returns. At the same time, on your liability side of the balance sheet, the city has $39 million in debt showing. And on that debt, we're paying on average 2 to 5%. It differs on the loan amount that you've borrowed. So look at the difference between 76 million, where you're earning less than 1.5%, and 39 million that you're paying almost 5%, from 2 to 5%. Ask yourself why you wouldn't offset the cash, pay off your debt, because the city has the ability to borrow at any time. And so to pay borrowing costs when there's no need to be paying borrowing costs is a problem, which is a savings. If you handle and you restructure your balance sheet, there's a savings that accrues to the taxpayer. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
I want to give an opportunity for you to weigh in on the opioid issue and the drug issue and the homelessness issue and all of those things, because I think that's important and that's what a lot of people are talking about in our community. It's not only crippling Cambridge, but the entire region, and in fact, virtually every municipality across the province, around the world even. The last provincial government implemented a funding program for regions or communities to set up supervised injection sites. The region suggested downtown Galt was the optimal place for one. The city passed an interim bylaw to temporarily prohibit one locating in the core, and this can also be extended for an additional year. This is a multi-part question. Do you believe the interim control bylaw was the right thing to do by City Council? Do you believe that an SIS or supervised injection site is a solution to the problem? Do you believe that an SIS or supervised injection site should locate downtown? And as mayor, how will you lead the region and possibly the province in solving this issue?
And we're going to begin with Colin.
Yeah, I believe that the SIS is not a solution at all. Actually, it's an enabler. Enables drug users to keep using the drug. It's not solving anything at all. I also think it's a danger for our kids to see that it's okay to do drugs in a safe location. It's not a good thing to teach our kids. I also disagree that it should be anywhere near any downtown core, as it negatively affects any business that is in the downtown core. I can guarantee you, if it opens up beside a business, that business is going to shut down just a matter of time. And about the homeless issue, I think that we should take care of Cambridge homeless people first and foremost. Out-of-town people should be sent back to their hometown. I'm not sure how we're going to handle that issue, but it has to be done because they're coming here at a very big number rate. People are coming here from all over Ontario, and even other provinces are coming to Cambridge because it's just easy to stay here. We're almost like a magnet for this opioid issue and homeless issue. And the best fix, I think, is, like I said, to take care of our own first, more affordable housing to get these people on the right path. And as far as the opioid issue, get these people the proper help, get them people to talk to, counselors, detox programs set up. The cure is not to open up SIS. That's not a cure. It's just an enabler. Thank you.
Thanks, Colin. Randy?
I don't I disagree with having the safe injection sites downtown. I think if we're going to have safe injection sites, it should be nowhere downtown because it's going to ruin the businesses downtown. And I think that there's a lot of people that come to our town because they think they're going to get safe injection sites. A lot of people from other places, they come in here and they get to do what they want to do. They don't matter what they do. They get to do whatever they want to do. They steal bikes and if anything, if anybody puts safe and second injection sites downtown, our businesses are definitely going to move away. So technically, I think that we should not have safe injection sites downtown for sure. That's it.
Thanks, Randy. Doug?
Well, we started last August with the Outreach Task Force in Cambridge, which had 40 different agencies, including police, health units, different agencies, to start discussing the problem that we understood was happening in Cambridge. And from that, we moved along. We moved along by setting up ambassador teams to go out into the community to pick up needles, drug paraphernalia. We sent 2 of our counselors across the province and into Quebec even to look at safe injection sites and to report back on whether these were good ideas in terms of the effect on the community, which is the major thing that is not ever being discussed when we put these sites in. And when the safe injection site argument came up at the region, we were turned down in terms of our request not to put them in the downtown. So immediately I went to staff and I said, we're going to bring in an interim control bylaw, which we did, and we stopped the region from moving in with any kind of designations in the downtown. Are safe injection sites going to solve the problem? No. What we need is the federal, the provincial governments, and all of us to sit at a table and start talking about the fact that this is a societal problem that cannot be solved by municipalities alone. And that's what's been happening. The onus has been put on the municipalities. And when you talk about safe injection sites in the downtown, you're talking 30% of the possible overdose deaths. The other 70% out there in the suburbs, no one's talking about or caring about. So we don't really have a strategy from the health units on what to do. And so the interim control bylaw will stay in effect until a strategy comes up, until money is brought in to put into place to help us resolve some of these issues, and until all the upper levels of government help us. That's the issue. Everybody's got to work together on this. We've been doing that as much as we can. We have led the way. Our strategy was in place before the province and before the region put in a strategy to deal with this.
Thanks, Doug. Ben?
So I agree with an interim bylaw. Unfortunately, though, the interim bylaw didn't go far enough. Because what we're saying to the community is the core areas are important, but the rest of the community is not. So from my vantage point, if you're going to do an interim bylaw, you protect your city. If you truly believe in SIS, coming in without all of the wraparound services being in place is the wrong thing to do for your community. It should be an entire community, not just the core areas. The first issue, though, before you talk about SIS and whatnot, is understanding who you're trying to serve. Unless you understand who you're trying to serve, whether are they our sons and daughters, grandchildren, neighbors' kids that we're trying to serve, or do we in fact have an influx of people that are coming into our community from areas like Brampton, Mississauga, Toronto? Unless you understand that, Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how many SIS you put in, and quite frankly, on the homeless shelter issue, or in the shelter issue, same thing. It doesn't matter where you move it to or how big you build it. It's like that baseball movie, Field of Dreams. If you build it, they shall come. That's your first step. You have to understand who you're dealing with. And once you understand that, and then be able to look at how you deal with that and address it, then you can look at your wraparound services. So until you do that work and your wraparound services, because I'm not interested in Joe or Joanne coming in for an injection and being sent away to come back for their next injection. I want to help these people. So the SIS to me is a firm no until you understand who you're dealing with, till you have the wraparound services in place, and until you have the funding that comes in from the levels of government that should be anteing up to help us out with this issue. It's a global epidemic, and all levels of government have failed us. And in Cambridge, unfortunately, we've been reactive versus proactive with the situation. So thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Catherine.
Thank you. As a nurse and a former member of the Waterloo Region Crime Prevention Council, this is an issue that I am well schooled in and have thought a lot about. People are frightened. You can hear it in their voices when they talk about it. Downtown Galt business owners in particular and residents are concerned about their safety and often divided on the possible solutions. The needs of our businesses and community, though, should be considered in making balanced decisions, and City Hall needs to do a better job of communicating with the public. Interestingly, as the provincial member a year ago when the task force was set up, I had to insist on being on the committee because I was the liaison between the city and the provinces in order to get more funding in this area. On SIS, the safe injection sites, there's 3 policy areas that we have to look at first. Number 1, the provincial government has put a pause on any openings of safe injection sites for the short term, and any decision will have to wait on them. The bridges may move according to the Cambridge Shelter Corporation. I'm very supportive of having a new purpose-built shelter that really seeks to meet the needs of the people that they're serving now with the wraparound services. And there's also that interim control bylaw to prevent an SIS in the downtown core, which I support with the option for another year until the first 2 policies are decided upon. However, I've said it clearly before, no SIS should be built in any of our downtown cores, and the only workable place for one is the hospital. There are 3 reasons for this. First, by putting an SIS in the downtown core, we continue the problems that we're seeing down there today. And we do need to balance those needs with business and community. And secondly, we all know that addiction and mental health go hand in hand with the hospital services that can be provided by that area and that facility. And lastly, if Cambridge does get an SIS, we need to make sure it's not in the residential area, and that means the only option for it is the hospital. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. Well, thank you all for your answers. We're going to move on to the closing statements, and we'll start with Randy.
Well, if you vote me as mayor of Cambridge, I would listen to what you got to say, and I will go door to door if I got to find out what everybody wants in Cambridge. And I hope everybody makes a good decision and votes me. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Doug?
All right. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to wrap this up by going back to my very opening statements where I talked about what the main issue was. The main issue in Cambridge that we're confronting right now is the opioid issue. It's an issue with the homelessness that we have to deal with. I talked about a safe city plan. I talked about the steps that we have to take. So when I go into this election, I'm telling you as a community that there are things we can do doable, that can be taken forward and resolve and mitigate a number of the issues. The opioid issue is a very large, complex one, and it's going to take us time. But I think one of the main things we have to focus on is the housing, the transitional supportive housing, to get people off the streets, get them out of the camps, out of our parks, out of our pathways, and into proper housing. That's a huge issue that we have to deal with. We know who the people are. There's no mystery. There are surveys that have been done, that have been taken of who these people are within our community living in these particular conditions. We know that the hospital also, and we've brought this up on many occasions, will in fact be a center post in terms of dealing with the overall safe injection site if asked and if in fact the health unit decides to go there. We also know that we can move the bridges. I had those discussions. I helped them in terms of supporting their move to become public, to make this work in terms of moving them out of the downtown, and we are helping them right now. So these are the issues that in fact are in front of us, the ones we have to move forward on, the ones that are going to make our city safe again. And that's key to me. We want police on the street. We want to have the interim control bylaw kept in place. We want to have the bridges moved, and we need more housing. That's the issue that we're going into this fall. And when you think about it at voting time, I'll be there in terms of trying to make this a better city, but most importantly, taking our streets back and making it a safer city.
Thanks, Doug. Ben.
So thank you. I want to thank Rogers for the opportunity to share our vision with you this evening, and to thank many supporters and who will be viewing this debate online starting tomorrow. Please take the time to consider what you've heard, and please ask questions of all the candidates. My platform will be released this week, which will add commentary to each of the following commitments I'm about to make. I'll be then hosting a town hall meeting, which will follow in about 2 weeks following the release, to give time for people to review the platform and to ask questions. So to follow, I am self-imposing a 2-term limit. I will be accessible, accountable, your strong voice at City Hall and Regional Council. I will promote advanced fiscal responsibility and the need to invest in our infrastructure. I will take immediate ownership of the substance abuse and growing homeless situation and work with the shelter with the impending move. I will champion and promote the development of additional affordable housing units, continue to support doctor recruitment efforts, and champion getting the hospital expansion back on track. Champion elimination of red tape and other barriers to investment in our community. Take immediate steps to consult and move on getting discussions back on track on building a multiplex, including bringing the private sector back to the table to look at other build and finance options. I will take immediate steps to consult and move on getting discussion started on the feasibility of building a conference center that would truly set us apart in the region and other areas, inviting the private sector, such as the hotel chains, back to the table to discuss build and finance options. I'll seek to form advisory committees across a number of strategic areas to hear from stakeholders who actually do the work. Example, builders and developers, landlords and tenants, both to seek ways to build some more affordable housing units. I would continue to ensure Cambridge retains the right to self-govern. I will champion revitalization efforts in Hespeler, Preston, and Galt with a heightened focus to protect Preston Springs, protect the Riverside Dam and the Mill Pond in Hespeler. And then in closing, I'll continue to listen to all opinions on all issues while continuing to be prepared to make the hard decisions to move our city forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Catherine?
And thank you to Rogers, our questioners, and for all of you at home watching this evening. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us. You know, people have told me that my success in getting so much done in this community has been my approach to teamwork. I continue to work collaboratively with many amazing volunteers, community leaders, and area politicians on the shared priorities of our community. Many tell me they see me at so many community events and they feel that they can approach me and discuss their ideas and their concerns. In fact, the current mayor said this about me in a Cambridge Times article a few months ago. Catherine immersed herself in the community. She was at every civic function she could get to when she wasn't in Queen's Park, which really impressed me. He said McGarry was very responsive to all issues raised in the community, and I will continue to do that. This election, people want change. They want new leadership and new ideas at City Hall. People are telling me they're no longer satisfied with a mayor and council who does not listen. People are telling me they're no longer satisfied with a mayor who is seen as not working all that well with the region. People tell me they're no longer satisfied with a mayor who sometimes makes backroom deals without public input and who is not transparent about the true cost of some of the recent projects. Cambridge deserves a mayor who listens, is responsive, and makes decisions in the best interests of our community. Cambridge deserves a mayor who's accountable and transparent with their tax dollars and puts the priorities of you, the people, ahead of expensive, what they call legacy projects. Cambridge also deserves a mayor who has a shared vision for an innovative, modern city with good transit options, reliable infrastructure, affordable and supportive housing options, and amenities that attract businesses and families to locate here. And it's a wonderful place for all of us with our families. I am that change. I'm here to fight for you. I'm here to fight for Cambridge. On October 22nd, please vote for me as mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Before we move to call-in, I'm just going to offer Doug an opportunity for
Well,
rebuttal.
yeah, I appreciate that, because throughout this whole show tonight, what we've heard is nothing but complaints from Ms. McGarry about my leadership style. And I don't see how you can possibly, Catherine, make those kinds of comments about being consultative and being a team player when we look at the fiscal record of the party that you belong to that ran this province into the ground in terms of hydro rates, in terms of a $350 billion deficit, and who promoted Go Train service to KW over Cambridge. That's not consulting, that's not teamwork, that's not anything near the kind of leadership that this community deserves.
Thanks, Doug. We're going to have to move to calling. Thanks, Colin.
I'd like to thank you guys for putting this on. I had a great time. Nice meeting all you guys. You guys are all great, very professional. Until the end there, things got a little heated. Anyway, I think number one issue in Cambridge, I agree with Craig, is that we've got to take care of the drug issue, homeless issue. Number one. When that's taken care of, the business will prosper and do better. That will create jobs for Cambridge. Like I said before, I've said it on my website, that has to be number one on our agenda, and I think all of us feel the exact same way. So a vote for me is a vote for honesty, integrity, and that's all I have to say. And I'd just like to say thank you guys once again. It's been great talking to you guys and doing the debate. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for participating today in this debate. And don't forget to tune in on October 22nd for up-to-the-minute results. Thank you and have a good evening.